Alright, so I am back to talk about my Hoyas. I wanted to track their growth updates and see how much they have responded to some of the sulfur treatments I applied. This is my Hoya Compacta. I don't think it's ever had mite issues. Nonetheless, it's been sprayed. And again, I grew this from a little plant this height, and it's about tripled since I got it, and is currently coiling around a macrame trellis. I did unfortunately knock off one of the new leaves on this little node over here. Zero signs of blooming, didn't expect it to. It might eventually be due for a repot. I think it's starting to tip over, but right now this is a good amount of soil in there, and I've noticed I'm having troubles watering my other Hoyas appropriately. So I think I'm going to keep this in here as long as I possibly can. Otherwise, looking good, looking healthy, still growing, and it's a little sparse actually in between the nodes, but this is actually better for me because you can keep a better eye on pests. So that is the Hoya Compacta. One of the other plants that I have hanging out next to it is a hanging plant. This is my Hoya Linearis. This is the plant that I may be overwatering, which is not great. So you can see quite a bit of growth from the top, but there is a stem that this is connected to that is dying off a little bit, looking dry. And it's possible that this plant actually is starting to put out peduncles all the way down at the bottom over here, but there's been no progress, and I am starting to get like slightly yellow leaves. These have always existed since I got them, but I'm worried about some of these top stems over here looking a little yellow. And I did actually knock all of the soil out of this pot the other day by accident when I was watering this plant and checking on it. Here's one of the potential peduncles that hasn't grown at all. So it might just be grumpy, but the soil, like this basket, feels a little heavy, and it's been like this for a few days. So I'm a little worried it's overwatered and I might be doing root damage. The good news is that I have several propagations of this plant ongoing, so hopefully, while there's no permanent damage, it can be replaced as I'm going. Next up is one of the plants I got recently. This is the Hoya Lobbii in the black form. It has, since getting it, put out an extension in its growth. It's grown about 2 centimeters. There's a tiny, tiny little growth point over here that's just starting to edge out. This guy is also covered in a sulfur treatment because it sits on this table all the time. I actually forgot to treat it. But yeah, it's doing well. Not much to say, to be honest. I don't think it's growing any faster than any of the other Hoya. Obviously, I'm not going to get it to bloom for a little while. So that is the Hoya Lobbii. Now this plant has made quite a bit of progress. This is my Hoya Polyneura. There's still no change to the length of the main stem, so it's still just over here, and the last little leaves are a little wonky. I honestly think it was struggling for a little bit. It probably didn't help that I put into semi-hydro at some point, but what you can see is that there is a fully different separate branching out system that's starting to grow, and these leaves are fairly new. Yesterday I think they were only about 1 centimeter long, so they've doubled in length. So I'm hopeful that this entire setup that is in like a hydroponic solution with very healthy root growth is going to be a suitable environment for it long term. I couldn't tell you whether or not the sulfur treatment actually did anything for this plant, but I'm going to keep going at it just as a preventative for as long as possible, because I would like to get a very, very large, bushy, trailing Hoya Polyneura, even though it's not valuable. Not really valuable anyways, and it's not really worth trading or selling, which is a lot of work. I think it's really cute, and I think it's going to make really cute gifts actually. And I do really think these tiny little guys coming out are super, super cute. That's the Hoya Polyneura. Next up, it's a plant I strongly suspect does actually have flat mites, so much that I split it up into 2 plants. This is the Hoya Australis Lisa. Apparently it used to be really rare, but I've always seen it at pretty cheap prices. So what I did is I actually cut off one of the top leaves, and I am propagating it in sphagnum moss. Root system's looking really good. Moss is still damp, and it's got an intense sulfur treatment all over it. The other one has not changed whatsoever. I haven't smelled anything from the hydroponic system, so I have no idea if the root system's actually alive. It's still doing okay. The plant looks like it has zero intentions of growing, and I actually think this is allegedly one of the fastest growing Hoya out there, so I have no idea what's going on. This was, funnily enough, my first Hoya, and I was like, I'll buy this so I can see how I do with them. So if I get more expensive ones, I won't kill them. But this one's doing the worst out of all of my plants, so who knows? That is the Hoya Australis Lisa problem plant. Next up, also 2-in-1. This is the Hoya Crassipetiolata. As you can see, it's quite large. The vines probably should be staked. I actually got it as one plant in this planter, and I split it up because I felt like the soil was far too damp, and I put one into semi-hydro just to see how it would go. Looking alright. I have had 1 or 2 leaves drop on me since getting it, but I don't see any major signs of damage. And that's my neighbor. And I also don't see any signs of growth. So, Hoya Crassipetiolata. Yes, last but not least, this plant. This is the Hoya Retusa, also known as the, I think it was like the grass blade Hoya. It puts out leaves that are these like little long elongated stems that connect to each other. And this is why I made the order with the Hoya Crassipetiolata. I picked them up at the same time. They're both under quarantine. I was informed that this plant would be much smaller than envisioned on the site. This is just a dead leaf that I've left inside. And yeah, I can say it's pretty sparse. I got a discount for it. I would have loved a way larger pot and maybe a steeper discount. But, you know, this is a curiosity plant. It's not horrifically expensive. It doesn't do well. The root system doesn't feel amazing. Again, the soil is super wet. I've had it for about 2 weeks now, and it's still kind of damp. So I am very likely going to repot this once I get a chance and I clean out some leca, pull out half the plants, downgrade the half in soil into a smaller pot, and then shift the other half into leca and see how it does in that environment, because I don't love how large this pot is in comparison to the probable root mass in this plant. Yeah, that is all the Hoya I have. Allegedly, they're going to be the fastest growing plants I own, so I thought it'd be fun to do a little update, especially before it starts turning into fall and before these little plants actually undergo a big move, so we'll see if they do well with that.